Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Inner Healing Journey with Randy May. So, this is a podcast created to inspire curiosity and to provide a space to explore our inner world, to question everything with openness, free from judgment, and in the pursuit of truth. So, together, we'll explore what it means to take responsibility for our own healing with that greater awareness. Because, my lovelies, self awareness is the key. So let's begin this journey together. Hi, and welcome to episode 6, which we are going to just touch on the dark night of the soul. And this is where everything you thought you knew begins to fall away. Now, I've come to a realization today after talking to somebody that made so much more sense to me. But I will do that on a different podcast because it puts everything into perspective, I think. So, um, on this podcast, we are going to talk about what we describe as the dark night of the soul. So, for now, before we begin, I just want to say that this phrase, to be honest, can mean different things to different people. So, some see it as like a spiritual experience, and others as a period of just like a personal transformation, which is what I'm seeing. I would have well, not probably, I would have said, years ago that it would have been a spiritual experience, but because I've come away from the spiritual name as such, because it doesn't really mean anything to me in that way. It's I suppose it would be a personal transformation, but even as I'm talking today about it, it's actually come to my resonance. Actually, the personal transformation is just what we experience here. So beyond that, we are infinite beings. That we're not attached to any of this, which I'm hoping will make more sense as we go down the podcasts that leads me to this next pathway I'm on, which is really exciting, really. So, as we talk about this as a personal transformation for now, because let's face it, on a human experience, many of us only see the personal transformations as a being, as a separate being, and this is where I suppose we are deemed to think about healing and stuff like that. So I'm just sharing what it has been for me so far on my journey, and the experiences I've witnessed supporting others. So when we first step into or onto, should I say, the spiritual healing path, whatever you want to call it, many of us do imagine it will just bring peace and clarity and happiness, but we picture it becoming like, I don't know, our world being calmer, feeling more connected, and just feeling like everything is falling into place. Now, for me, the Dark Night of the Soul was completely opposite to that. So it opened me up wide, very vulnerable, in a very vulnerable way, where, like I've said before, I've questioned everything, questioned myself, questioned who I was, my identity, and everything. So, like I said, for some people, the dark night of the soul may sit very differently with them, but on my experience, it's brought me to a profound pathway of understanding. And I'm not fully understanding it just yet. I just feel like I've stepped onto a different pathway with this. So it's quite profound, really. Um, but whilst we talk about the Dark Night of the Soul as it was for me, and this is how many do experience it, is that it isn't spoken about enough about what the Dark Night of the Soul shadow work is. and how it can affect your life in many different ways. So, the moments when everything you've built in your life all around you, it just begins to feel really like unfamiliar. You just don't resonate with it. It's really strange. And then, the relationships that, you once felt comfortable, they become restrictive. It's because you're opening up, you're seeing things for what they are. And this will affect your work life, your career, because what you thought you were comfortable in and happy in, you kind of think, actually, I'm not. I've been lying to myself. And the friendships will completely change. It's not that you don't love your friends or whatever. It's just that you are completely different. You're just not on that pathway anymore. And another thing was for me was my belief system. The beliefs I carried for years and years, just, they were being dissected, and well, that's how it felt. And I just felt completely conflicted with it all, because I just thought, well, what is there then? If there isn't this belief, what is there out there? And I suppose that leads you onto a different pathway, and then another door opens, and then you start to resonate with other things that really ring true for you. They really do. Um, One of the biggest things I would say is that you question who you are. You absolutely question who you are. And on the pathway I'm going down now, I would say this is a huge one, because you are not who you are. You are not this body. You are not these emotions. You're not these thoughts. You're not the programming or the conditioning. You're not separate from the awareness that you are, the consciousness, as I call it. And I had to, well, not had to, I really struggled with this for a long time, because I couldn't imagine what awareness or consciousness looked like, because we've been so programmed. And for me, the human body um, is full of emotions and thoughts and stuff, and that's just not who we are. So questioning who you are and your identity, I think, is very important. Now, don't get me wrong, this can feel very, very scary, okay? Because, like I said, if you're questioning who you are, you're going to be questioning, well, who, if I'm not her or him or that name or that identity, who the hell am I? And it's because I think that we are just not made aware of who we truly are. Um, And because of the ego, because of the human existence, we want answers, we want certainty, instead of just trusting our own inner wisdom, our own inner knowledge, our own intuition. We ignore it. And I think this is where we've been held back a lot, because we've been ignoring what's shouting within ourselves when something doesn't feel right or isn't right. Oh, it's crazy. But um, I think for me, the dark night of the soul, it wasn't just one thing. It was like a layer of an onion, where you were unraveling so much. And the conclusion that I came to is that although I thought I was unraveling me, I was just unraveling the universe. So um, having a personal experience, whatever you want to call it here, being in this human body. Um, I was unraveling that part of me. Now, that part of me is human, obviously, but it's not who I truly am. It's not who you truly are at all. So the layers of you are the versions of you that you've been for so many years, so long, and they're the versions that you have to question, that you have to ask yourself: am I happy in this version of myself? Am I in joy? Am I in peace? Am I calm? And most of you will probably answer, no, I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in chaos. I don't feel right. I don't enjoy things anymore. And I just think it's because we've been so programmed and conditioned to believe that we're meant to be this, that, we're meant to behave that way, we're meant to do this, we're meant to work 9 to 5, we're meant to. struggle. We're meant to just be in this bloody matrix, really, and that's not the case. So for me, the Dark Night of the Soul has revealed that healing for me is very different to what I thought it was going to be. But also, you know, obviously it's turned out my patterns and behaviours and self-awareness, because that's what it is, self-awareness. And when I was talking to somebody today, they mentioned about self-realization, which is about coming into your sovereignty and knowing who you truly are, and not who you believe you are. And I thought that was really interesting. And the Dark Night of the Soul has done that for me. So it brings in people that can help you. Um, and I say that as in people around you, not those in the in the ethers. It's almost like your awareness is bringing those that can help you understand who you truly are. So each time that I thought I'd reached the other side, which is another part of the Dark Night of the Soul, you think you're at it, another layer, another conditioning, another program appears. Now, I truly believed at the time it was to heal, that it was to be fixed. And that's actually not the case at all. It's about acknowledging it, observing it without judgment, observing it without emotions, without thoughts, and integrating it somehow into your life where you choose. You choose whether you buy into it anymore with that drama, with that trauma, with that memory, or you choose to leave it where it is and not get tangled up it all in that healing loop again. So I started off thinking that, we need to be fixed, we need to do this and that to heal it. But the ultimate reality for me now is that nothing needs to be healed, because you're just having this experience in this body, whether we wanted to be here or not. And you are far more than that. You, as an infinite being, doesn't need healing at all. So why are we spending time healing the human side when we should be not chasing as such, but we should be focusing more on what brings peace, calm, tranquility, happiness to our lives? Now, during this Dark Night of the Soul healing, well, I've been on it for a few years now. I've only just really started to understand it correctly for me, and this is only for me. Um, and for many years, I just thought I was doing something wrong all the time. Looking back now, I wasn't broken. It was just something that Mandy went through, which is me as a human form. But I wasn't broken, because your soul, your spirit, the consciousness you are, the awareness you are, isn't broken, is it? It's infinite. So it invites you to be more honest with yourself, more honest. It also invites you to open up or expand your reality a little bit, question things, question your own beliefs as well, which was really hard. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that if you're struggling, you're failing. And you're not, you're really not. Um, and sometimes the struggle isn't a sign that you're off your path either. It actually means that you are probably facing a really true, authentic, honest part of you, um, that's leading you more to who you truly are. And it is uncomfortable, because you are letting go of like your comfort blanket, if that's what you want to call it, your comfort zone, familiar ways, thinking, reacting, and living. And that can be really scary. Now, your mind wants to hold on to it. So your ego, your mind, it wants to hold on. It wants certainty. This is all part of what the dualistic energy is here. It wants the familiar, even if that familiar causes you pain. I've been there, I've done it. And one thing I noticed during my own journey was the temptation to just keep searching on the outside of myself, which I did for years. I did it for absolutely years. So another course book, went for readings, I had healing sessions, um, and now, don't get me wrong, there is an incredible value in learning from others and receiving support. I get all that. But for me, I had to come to a point where I realised that I had become disconnected from my own inner knowing. And that's the key. You've got to trust your inner knowingness, because trust me, it is screaming within you. You can't ignore it. It's there. And because it's not familiar, or it doesn't have clarity, or um, whatever that is, it's it's because you don't, or you haven't trusted yourself along the pathway before, and it's time to start doing that. So I was collecting all this wisdom, and I say collecting it, I already knew it. The wisdom is already within you, but I just wasn't living it. So I wasn't living, and I still aren't. I'm still not living really. I've just, that's a different pathway, obviously. But the greatest shift happened when I became willing to sit with the discomfort instead of constantly trying to escape it. Now, looking back on that, it's not because I'm going to heal it. It's because I just need to be aware of that part of me, the character almost, Mandy, the whoever she is. It's not who I am as an infinite soul. Um, so I think for me, my biggest realizations was the anger, and there was fear and frustration, that was coming out for me, and it's not comfortable, and it could be grief as well. It can be confusion, but all of this comes out, um, and it's not, again, not for you to fix. It's just for you to be aware, so you can choose differently. And it might take you a while before you start to realize that you're not entering into that contract, you're not entering into that bullshit anymore. You are simply acknowledging, I'm angry. Okay, why am I angry? Where's this coming from? You're not fixing it. You're just not fixing it. You are just becoming aware of it. So that next time that you are angered, you're not going into the thought processing or the emotion. You're actually just thinking, nah, I'm going to choose differently. And that's the beauty of um, becoming aware. Um, I do remember thinking that I was going backwards as well on this journey. And again, today, the realization is that, oh my God, I'm really not going backwards. It's just that I'm just not understanding what I'm feeling. I'm not understanding what this is all about. And this is why other people come into your life to help you with that. And it is just about listening and observing, and not fixing. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to do all these healing commodities. Relaxing, finding ways to relax, which, yes, obviously is your nervous system, um, I think is still important. But when it comes to fixing yourself, no, I really, really don't resonate with that anymore. I've always been a fixer, a rescuer, and now it's like, no, I need to not figure it out, but I need to become more aware of who I truly am. So that's really how my dark night of the soul has gone. Now, there are many, many, like I said, ways that people will see what the dark night of the soul is, depending on where they're at in their frequency, in their vibration. But for me, and like I said, only today did I realise what this actually meant, and I resonated with it. So we'll leave this with, what if it's creating the space, okay, for you to discover who you truly are? What if it's like just giving you that glimpse of the true self, the true self? So yeah, have a ponder on that and just see what it means to you. What does the dark night of the soul mean to you? And if you have been through it, going through it, could it be a possibility that you're not here to fix yourself? You're here to just observe, become aware, and make different choices, maybe. Anyway, take care, and I'll speak to you again in the next episode. Lots of love. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone that might benefit from this. Until next time, remember the answers are not outside of you. So stay curious, stay aware, and remember the answers are not outside of you. They never were. Have a magical day.